Hello and welcome to another Dawn of War 3 game. This one, with Dullahan in the right as the orcs on the new map Morksmire, and DaDokisin as the Marines in the left. So, the new map in the field, Morksmire. We are going to see, standard orc versus marine probably, which comes to lots of boys, big horde of boys early. They've really managed to make the swarminess of orcs work in this patch, and marines just tacking it up, just tack squads everywhere. So, interestingly, the heroes are pretty interesting in this. So, on the orc side, you got Zapnoggin and Gorguts. Gorguts is super strong in this meta, so no surprises to see him here. And Zapnoggin is totally fine as an early game hero still. And then Mad Dread later on, which I've never seen. Interesting. And on the other side, we have another set of quite late game heroes. We have the Librarian, who, much like Gorguts, very powerful in this meta. But then we have Terminators and the Imperial Knight Paladin, which I think is a risky play from Dado, which I'm going to call him because I cannot pronounce his whole name, to put that much into the late game. I'm going to have our first war of the game as well. Oh, what's he done? He's placed the war tower looking away, so I can't look at the fancy speakers. Ah, Dullahan, please. Please think of the casters. So we've got a big clump of tacks up here, big clumps of boys up here. Push him in with a war. They're actually going to attack this building as it's trying to be made. That's very unfortunate for Dado. But he's going to cancel it, run this away, and his tacks are coming up round the back. Some decent splitting there, but he split it sort of in the wrong direction, assuming that the Marines would be in front of him. Still making units. We have just buildings straight in the middle of Morksmire, pretty much, just off to the side. I've seen this a few times from orc players, so seems legit. Both players building out. The orc player has got, or the marine player even has got a quite clear advantage in terms of generators with this top point. However, the orc is going for the epic point generator here, which it's still a bit of a risk on these maps where the elite point generator is right in the middle. But if you can get a big orc horde up and you can hold off the attacks in the middle, maybe put some war towers up here as well, then it can go pretty well. The banner coming down, though, is going to mean that he's going to have to abandon this middle location. So this has not at all gone well for him right now. Attack Marines, ever powerful, ever prominent early game. So both players right now look like just sort of powering up, although the Marine player having that extra point is getting quite ahead in terms of his resources. He's just spent some on some more power gens, so he's not getting too far ahead, but he could get up to a pretty fast Tech 2 if he wanted to, by the looks of things. He was, already getting close to being 3/3 of the way there. Gretchens have scouted this top point to see how far done it is, and will be upset to see. But he's got two of these smaller points now where he has put down power points, which is going to try and hold him back a bit. If he can get all of these 2 points done and maybe one of these wrecks, then he can be at the same sort of power as the Marine player. But he will have a much harder defensive task because he will be using this middle point right in the center. This point, a lot of high ground, quite nice to defend, especially against the orcs. You want to really have that big massive units in there. Oh, and we have a wall going once again. War tower faced away from me. Got some orcs coming around here as well, just make sure he's capturing the middle point. Marine army right now, 3 sets of tacks and a assault marine squad on the field. Sure, he might have more, so the assault marine's going to try and jump onto these shooters, although He's going to actually just get entirely dodged. Very good play from Dullahan there. And his boys are going to get shredded, and he's not going to get anything out of this, but I believe he only lost one squad of boys and just some wreck points on the other one. Some models going down. So, nothing too bad happened there. He's captured the middle of the map with his other boys. The bottom of his map is entirely safe without even having to put a listening post on there right now. Dado seems to be too worried about losing all of his strengthen points up here to really push down, but it looks like he might go down there now. We're seeing a Daka hut come down. Again, very standard in this sort of meta. Heavy weapon squads are the kings of this meta by far, and we're now on 3 points. Elite point generator did go down, so not much use going to come out of that. The weird boy and the librarian coming down, respectively. Checking a bush of grenades. It's a good thing to do. And they're going to try and attack with the war. They found the librarian, and he hasn't managed to get his thing off, but a big jump by the assault marines. The wall is coming off. The weird boy trapped in the wall, actually. But he can teleport over the wall. I honestly think this fight could have been fought, maybe, but oh no, he kept his weird boy in there for the whole teleport. He's actually going to lose it. That's a really bad deal. You absolutely do want to do that. He's entirely thrown this early game now. And the marine player with the librarian can just walk over the orcs. That was an awful fight for Dullahan. That went really badly. He needed to cancel the weird boy's teleport sooner. Getting another war tower down here to protect his bottom side. Get him a bit more tech. This is his third war tower, so this should get him to tier 2. So he can make tank busters. But I'd assume to you we could see some looters already out there with their big old laser pointers. I do think that looters are some of the most fantastically designed units in this game. They just look great. And when they're shooting, they look awesome. They have these big goofy laser sights on, and they walk with a big waddle. It's really amusing. In the top here, we have a small Space Marine army coming down here to take out some generators. Doing quite good work. So this is what I'm saying, with especially with no listing points, these orc points are much harder to defend than where the Marine has got himself put into. Oh, here we go. We've got a real war now. The rocks all bumping and jumping. And they're just going to push up this bottom side. Oh, the scout goes off. Not sure if that's going to actually see anything, but he can catch these attack marines if he's lucky, and he didn't have attack move on, so they entirely walked away from him, and now he's gonna correctly dodge them. The looters are at the front, but they're just shooting into this wall so far, but there's not enough marines here to really do any significant damage. So I really think as soon as this wall drops, the entire marine army is just going to get stumped. The librarian has spammed all of his abilities within the wall before anything happened. Oh no, and he moves his looters as it happens. He does get dropped on by these attack marines. That's really unfortunate. The good play there by Dado, managing to time everything right to keep everything inside the wall long. But he's being really dangerous by pushing these in there, because the looters are just going to reset up, and now he has no way to set them off. He's focus firing the librarian to try and get it down. The librarian will use his own wall now, which will hold it down a bit more. There we go. Oh, and we have a land speeder in. Are there tank busters up to defend against this land speeder? It does not look like there are right now. There are some coming out, maybe? Yeah, there are tank busters coming out. Some knobs as well. So knobs and tank busters are out in time to start defending this, but the land speeder got a little bit of an advantage. It's going to run away though. Doesn't want to lose that land speeder. And actually I've seen a lot of people, I'm not sure how Dado's going to play this, but I've seen a lot of people going with the idea that you should only get one land speeder now, especially against orcs, because tank busters just deal with them so well. You don't want to make, you know, a bunch of land speeders, throw them into your enemy base, and then have 2 or 3 tank buster squads just start shredding through them, one hitting them one by one. So we have the arsenal out now, which is a very slow arsenal. for this game, honestly. I would have expected it to come out sooner, even if just to see the flamethrower upgrade. But he's got a nice quick tier 2 now, so he can afford to get it. We're in the second escalation phase, so they're getting a bit more money. But the Orcs are going to now push up here on the shield generator, knowing that most of the Marines' army is in the top side, so this is a good play. Tank Buster's going to start shredding this. The land speed is going to come in, but has to stay back pretty far to avoid the Tank Busters. Can't take the point himself. Librarian's coming down the back. It looks like he might try and put a wall in the middle of this, but it's not going to do much. He's just going to bip the looters at the back a little bit. He's actually killed a model of looters, which is kind of amusing. Oh, and he got taunted out of his spell. That was an excellent taunt there. Holy moly. Taunted out of the cast, which is really good. So there are Assault Marines up on this side trying to sort of retake something. The force of the Marines' army is running around here. The Marine is staying on quite a low amount of troops, honestly, which I think is probably a mistake. He's starting to run up a lot of resources in this matchup, and he could just have more Marines out. Like, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't have more tactical squads out, and this is a mistake that a lot of Marine players, even high level Marine players, are making. People like Bite Crush still see him making this mistake, just not syncing his rack. He's just hovering with a high rack. Like, I almost made an analogy which explains what this is like, but honestly the analogy wouldn't have helped because it was about World of Warcraft, and so most people wouldn't get it. But it's like a warrior who's not spending his rage, who's just sitting at 100 rage throughout the fight. I realised that analogy also only works for certain expansions of World of Warcraft, but hell, I haven't played that game in a while. But, like, all of this resource is just now wasted. Oh, that's going to be a dead land speeder right there as well. And that is why you only stick on one land speeder, because that is so easy to happen, and it just throws away so much money. And Dado did do that. And with the amount of resources holding up, it looks like he's going to try and go straight for a Dreadnought. He needs to have some way of shutting down these tank busters, though, because if he just builds a Dreadnought and walks at them, and the tank busters are controlled correctly, they're just going to shred that Dreadnought. They're not going to care. We also have Gorguts out now. It will be a couple more points until the Terminator comes out. It will actually be 3 more points because this elite point generator has gone back up. Dullahan has been, you know, quite vigilant in continuously putting that up. So he's going to start swinging the Gorguts claw. He's going to run into this turret. This turret is going to go down. Lots of tank busters doing a ton of damage. The shockwave is coming out. There is a drop pod coming into the back wave, but the shockwave doesn't reach the tank busters, so this turret isn't going to be long down. And he actually has a whirlwind as well. That's an interesting choice. He waited so long for so much, and then he built a whirlwind. That's crazy. This is actually going to get Fist of Gorks down pretty fast, but the whirlwind is a lovely addition. I really like this idea. I was talking in one of the discords about this being a possibility soon. I was speaking specifically about MVM. This moment was mentioned in the comments. So BM by those knobs, eh? So BM. But I was speaking specifically about MVM, but in MV Orc it makes sense as well. Perhaps even MV Elder. Just getting one whirlwind. I always have worried that whirlwinds will just never be sort of viable, really, because they won't hit that often, and they're so weak to get killed. You need to be really careful with them. So, but in this meta now, where there are such big clumped up masses of units, they can do a lot of damage. And you saw that in that fight, while Dullahan was leaving his micro so that he could focus down this tower, there was a lot of time for the whirlwind to set up a shot and hit on a lot of people in the back. And if he doesn't prepare for it, if he hasn't pre-split, if he's focused on something else, he's gonna just get demolished. So he's pushing back up here. Scouts are in the back. Scouts will be a huge help in this because they can stun all of these clumped up heavy weapons at the back. Oh, there's a big drop here. That's going to be a Dreadnought. And the Whirlwind hits on all of the tank busters, which just, like, this is the perfect use of the Whirlwind here and the perfect reason why don't make more than one. You know, maybe two at absolute most, but one of them just sitting in the back can do things like this to an army. And this, like I said if he just walks a Dreadnought into the army, he'll just get shredded. But because the Whirlwind softened up the tank busters so much, that didn't happen. Now, the wall's going to be kind of good, but it's still trapping a lot of people in there with the Dreadnought, so the Dreadnought will still go down. And the Librarian's poking down some units at the back, but as soon as the wall comes down, he'll die as well. Some really, really bad micro there from Dullahan, actually. Incredibly bad. He was in the wall, focusing on the Librarian, while the Dreadnought was in the wall and the Librarian was out of the wall. So he actually just left that Dreadnought alive to do a ton of damage for no reason. But Dadox, for his part of bad micro, has also left like a load of his army sitting up here, and he's actually on 2 Whirlwinds now. This, I think, is a bit too much, maybe. I mean, I think 2 Whirlwinds is the limit. I can see an argument for having 2 Whirlwinds. If you have any more than 2 Whirlwinds, that's too much, that's bad. This is another reason for having 2 Whirlwinds, is that they do what Predators do in the late game, but a lot earlier, which is that they force your enemies to take both towers before taking your core a lot of the time. If they bring in a big army now and push on this core, they can't kill the Whirlwinds without walking into the other turret, so they're not going to want to kill the Whirlwinds. But their army sitting there trying to kill the core is just going to get hit by Whirlwind shots. So this is sort of just a thrown game from Dado here. Like, he has 2 Plasma squads and a Marine squad here that are just doing absolutely nothing, whereas his base is just getting killed for some reason, and I don't know why he's not pulled them back. Maybe he realized his mistake and now is just sort of trying to desperately do anything, but I don't think the Orc army here is too scary, especially if you had tax down here. The tax would beat all these tank busters. It's just kind of weird ending to this game for what was for a long time a very, very good game, very consistent, decent from both players. So a sort of unfortunate end, but very cool play coming in. I like the Whirlwind choice. I like some of the hero usage. Some of the micro from both sides was appalling. Some of the macro was bad. But generally, decent game. Good players. It was fun.